So one of the ways I like to start out my game is to flip a counter for each of the characters to see if they're male, female, and who they are. So here, hey, looks like instead of Abu Hassan, we got Scheherazade. And that's fine. I usually play Abu Hassan. Let me set up some of these points there. Over here. Let's see who we have. Uh-oh. Oh, there he is. Oh. Are we going to have an all-female? That was Alibaba. So Zumurrud. I don't know how to rate Zumurrud. Not a character I know. I don't know if it's even a real one. We've got Aladdin. And we'll set these up. There's plus 10s on the other side of these. I haven't explained how these origin and destination. Some of the events that can happen to you can give you an origin and a destination. I think you may only be allowed. See, here's one place where things kind of screw up. They have other ones on the other side, which doesn't really help you. Some of the statuses require you go back to an origin each time you go someplace. And it's possible you might have two origins for that. And that's why you'd have these two counters. I can also dig into the other counter mixes if need be. That can cause a problem, because anytime you have an encounter, you have to have an encounter in your origin or something. Destination's not so bad. That generally is something that you're trying to get to. It might be, you might even be using it in your quests just to help you mark where you're trying to go. Although you don't need a counter for that. It's helpful to find out. And here we have a dude with a big penis. Oh wait, no, that's coming out his ass. Ali Shear. Okay. So within that, I should get myself a sheet of scrap. Use this. Guess that wasn't too helpful. To decide, to record secretly, each player would have their own, what kind of player they're going to be. Although that gets announced very quickly. As well as what kind of their story destiny points are. Now, involved in this, I'm going to worry a little bit about the possibility of what skills they have. So I'm going to actually maybe kind of make these decisions after I at least think about what skills they'll have. Okay. So our first is Scheherazade, storyteller, looking for interesting stuff. Probably not going to be a merchant. So I'm not going to even roll for her for merchant. But I'm going to roll for these two for merchants because I don't know who they are, right? Alibaba, I have an idea. He's not really a merchant either. Okay. So I'll write these down. Let's see if we can get this. Blue. Next is going to be turquoise. And that is Zoomy. Somewhere down here, let's go to yellow. I always go counterclockwise for some reason, and that's Alibaba. And then over to purple, we have Ali Shear, who is, I should probably have his color first. Okay. Now the first choice is, what game are they playing? Which I don't reveal to anyone else at this point, but So Scheherazade, I'm going to say on a 1 or a 2 she goes with the quest game, but otherwise she's mainly interested in collecting up stories. I don't feel like she's a quester, so I'll just go with a 1 for quest. Okay, no quest, so that's going to be standard victory there. Because she's so interested in stories, and you can't lose story points, I'm going to give her story 12, destiny 8. This seems like a good mix. Okay. And that's going for normal victory. Turquoise, Zumayad, I got no idea. So, 1 and 6 is merchant. The merchant is hard to play, and I feel like there's a lot of disincentives to being them. We may not see a merchant because this is what I'm doing now. Okay, odd quest. No. Standard game, not a storyteller. You know, while it's possible to spend destiny points, and that's one reason to have lower destiny points, and you can't lose story points. On the other hand, sometimes it might be easier to get destiny points. So, let's see. We'll go with the 10-10 mix for her. And again, these are hidden. Nobody knows these. Alibaba. Alibaba is almost definitely not a merchant. Well, I don't know. If you think about his story and his life, he is kind of making some money. So I'll give him the 1 and 6 on the merchant. Now. Quest or otherwise. Odd, we go for quest. Yeah. He's going to take a quest. And that means he doesn't have to write down any victory conditions at all. And that's kind of cool because it means he can spend destiny points to hurt people. Kind of will. It's kind of crappy because it means he collects them without them being useful. And the same with story points. He collects them without, you know, them really being useful. They give him some skill advantages. But he's playing a different game, that's all. And now we go to the final one, Ali Shear. Again, I'm going to go with a 1 in 6 chance of a merchant. I kind of hope it happens, but we'll see. It doesn't. Should have gone odd even, but he doesn't get it anyway. Odd quest game. Yeah, he also is going for a quest game. And this is quite often the case that we don't have people who want to play the merchant. And I gotta say, I'm kind of thankful that that's not going to be happening. Now it's time to buy some skills. And again, I try to base them off of who you are and what you want to do. Now, a couple of these skills, remember, you can't take major magic to begin with. A couple of these, bargaining and evaluation, have a bonus for the merchant, and actually they aren't terribly useful as an adventurer, so you probably don't want to choose them. Scheherazade is the first player, so let's pick what she's going to take. And I marked what deck number we're on up here just to keep it out of the way. Okay, so what is she interested in? Well, she's definitely interested in taking a level of storytelling. This isn't maybe the best thing to choose because storytelling is fairly easy to gain throughout the game. But you can't be Scheherazade without storytelling, right? All right, well, let's take a look at some of the others, though, because storytelling is probably not going to be very useful for her. And maybe we'll end up holding off on that. I think she definitely deserves seduction. And she gets that at talent level. Now we go to the next character, Zumayad. What's she up to? Well, she is also going with a major thing. I see her as kind of a thief type. So I'm going to give her stealth and stealing. That's a useful skill. Then we go to Alibaba. Clearly a thief, right? He's taking stealth and stealing because he sees that one's missing. I think there are only 3 storytellings. No, there are 4, as there are with seamanship. which is important. Getting shut out of a skill like that kind of sucks, especially one that you're assured to get. Now let's look at this guy. I have no idea about Ali Shear here. He's on a quest. He's got a big weapon sticking out, so he's going to grab weapon use. Okay, now we're back to Scheherazade. We'll give her an appearance. Zumayyad here. What do we want to give her? She will take acting in disguise. That works well with stealth and stealing, I think. Ali Baba, he should maybe have that too. But you know what? He is a magician, so he's going to take minor magic. He definitely had a little bit of magic. Maybe it's something he gained in this story, but I think he has them. And now we go over here. And now we've taken a weapon use. We don't have Sinbad. Seamanship is really useful because of the movement capabilities, especially if you're on a quest. And I'm on a quest. I'm going to take a seamanship because that gives me better movement so I can get around to my quest locations a little quicker. And it's not a bad skill. Seduction, appearance. I'm not going to take storytelling. I don't think that I want that. Now, do I want courtly graces or enduring hardship? Those are both useful. Wisdom. I mean, so many fit her, right? We're going to just give her courtly graces. Okay. Zumayyad, acting, disguise, stealth and stealing, and definitely quick thinking. Okay, well, I would take quick thinking with Alibaba too, no question there. But, you know, I don't want too many characters that are too much alike. So, he too will go with the weapon use. That puts us over here. Seamanship, weapon use, and we'll go with piety. Piety is a good skill anyway. So that gives us our starting situation here. And I have to shuffle up the deck and then get started. Let's get started. We start with Scheherazade here. Now, one of the things that I've learned in this game is that it's a little risky to go outside the civilized area, the bright area of the map, early in the game. You kind of want to get yourself up a little bit stronger before you start venturing out. At least that's my feeling on it. Now, Scheherazade has lots of things that are good in cities and stuff, you know, interaction with people type of, this is what went wrong. Okay. So I probably want to stay in cities and things. People don't have destiny points, so they can't attack each other. She has no real goals in life. Land movement is 3. We'll go up here to Tiflis. And she draws a card. Potential event. There is one. It is in the city, which is going to be paragraph number 56. And a different player would be looking at this and tell her, okay, roll a die. Do you have any bonuses? Well, you're not outside the civilized area and you don't have anything there, so no. So we roll a 3, which is going to be an old man H. Okay? So I look up under old and I can honor him. I could avoid him, which gives me no encounter. That's like not taking a turn, so you might want to do that if you have a card to play. No, because then you don't have an encounter. I could aid him, rob him, follow him, or question him. I think I'd like to honor him. I think that makes the most sense. So the reader turns to 976. Here. The Ancient One has many scars. Okay, so I have to roll a die, actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because she has no master level skills, so she has no picks. So I get actually down to 977. A wise old Persian is expounding to a small group. You join them, and when the discussion is over, the man invites you to his dwelling. Yeah, I'll bet. Does she have storytelling? No. So she doesn't have an option for this. She has no skill. You accompany him and spend a pleasant evening. In the morning, you go your separate ways. A destiny and a story point. Okay, well, it's better than a kick in the head, right? Now I'd hit my cards and dice phase, deal with statuses or whatever that I had, but I don't have any of that. This is a game that doesn't really make sense not to be following all the things. The only things that don't really make sense, hey, maybe the particular choices that I make on here, but this game is all just the reading of the story, so I view that as particularly important to play. I'm going to take a pause because my pipe's going out and I really want it. Okay, that puts us over to Zumayad or whatever, and she is also looking for points. Now, she's a little different. Stealth and stealing, acting, disguise, quick thinking. She too, I feel, though, is mostly into urban situations. I'm not going to go to the same city. I'll go over here to Hamadas, and I can get there with just one movement point. And then I draw one. And I get a city card. This would also qualify as a thingamabobble, which is Tripoli. I'm going to leave it face up in front of myself. That gives me now a goal to go here. Now, some of these city cards aren't too good, like lose a skill, you know, and some bonuses here, like gain a treasure with if you have minor magic. Well, if you don't, maybe you shouldn't go for it. There aren't that many things. But it does give you some sort of goal in life in the game, and that's actually what's mainly missing. So I've got some rumor of Tripoli. I'll probably go there. I didn't have an encounter, so I wouldn't get any of the abilities to play something that you need an encounter for, like if I had the city card for that city. The next player is Yellow, who's doing a quest. Before he takes his turn, he has to draw one, and this does not have a quest, so he gets to keep drawing until he gets a special card. So now he's going for the Prince, 1316. And way in the back of the book, actually. The new version has more event paragraphs in it, which may add a little bit to the play value, but I can't imagine that it really fixes the general problem that eventually you get used to it. So he needs quest cards. He gets a special bonus if he has courtly graces, which he does not. And he finds them in Dybul or Kiev. So let's see what we have here. Oops, I moved the wrong person. Dybul or Kiev. Well, I know where Kiev is. That's up here. I'm going to put that as my destination. Dybul. All right, we'll try to deal with this. Dybul is in the southeast corner of the map. Should be down here. Southeast, over here. Wrong east, okay, is over here. So, both of them are kind of difficult to get to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement is one turn. 1, or 2 turns. 2, 3, 4, 5 movement is 2 turns. Since nobody's going in this direction, 1, 2, 3, I'm kind of good anywhere, but I like cities, so I'm going to go to a city. Now I have my normal encounter here, even though I'm on this quest version. And I draw a card for Leon, which I keep face down. If I meet the Prince, through my normal adventures, I could conceivably get the Q colon S that way. I've found that actually the quest version of the game is probably slightly easier to win than any of the other versions, which makes it a kind of neat choice. But it's only slightly. And now finally we go to Purple here, who is also doing a quest, and he draws one right away, 1319 Soldier. +1 for each additional quest. Weapon use is worth something. I've got a +1 to the die roll, and I go to Leon or Pan Pan. Okay. So we know where Leon is. Pan Pan sounds like it's going to be in China somewhere. Oh, no, it's down here. Phew. I have seamanship, which means that I can move quicker by sea. So that's kind of cool. That means I'll have 4 movement points by sea, or 4 movement points if I use any sea movement, and 3 of those can be by land. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm almost there. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. This looks kind of far away and scary. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm out at sea. I'm not in a city. I draw an event, and I don't get one. If I enter the same space as another player, I can take a status from them. That's a kind of cool card, and the kind you want to hold on to for a while. Let me move the dice over here to indicate that it's their turn, and we'll take another break. So far, nobody's really done much. Shahrazad's gotten herself a destiny and a story point. See, I've got this guy face up. I feel like that'll confuse me, maybe with these, but it does make life easier to assess the situation for those players when I'm playing at solitaire. Obviously, if you're not playing solitaire, you hold the cards face down. All right, well, Shahrazad really has nothing to do. Kind of doesn't want to wander into nowhere. But we'll just bop around to another city. I'll go to Antioch this time. I don't think you have to actually move to have an encounter, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something. And she gets a special card. Go to another player. Use one of your skills at no cost. Interesting. Probably want to do it because you end up with too many cards at some point, and that'll give her an impetus to move around running after people. Okay, we want to go to Tripoli. We have a movement of 3 on land. 1, oop, wrong person again. 1, 2, 3, gets us into the forest. We draw 1, and we get an event. Or an actual thing. Forest is 17. We're outside the light colored area, so we get a +2 to the die roll here. And we meet the worst thing we can, a Dark River G. Okay. So we look up dark here, and we could, who are we? Quick thinking, acting, disguise, stealth, and stealing. We could pray, avoid, wait, cry out, drink, examine, travel, or hide. Well, I want to drink. So that gives me a base of 650 with no master skill eligibilities or existence. And so I just roll, and I get high. The water smells bitter and unpleasant. Do I have wisdom or luck? I do not have either, which means I have no skill. I don't get a choice. It tastes that way. As you wipe your mouth, you notice that your arm is covered with dense red fur. D1 and beast form 6 or less. Okay, this sounds interesting. So I get a point of destiny out of that. And I look for a status 6 or less on beast form. Beast form is 118. I'll read that because I may get some special ability out of having that. Beast form, I believe, is one of those. Oh, I thought it was a cannot win. It's not, apparently. You have been turned into an ape by a being with great power. You retain your intelligence and power of speech, but find it hard to get along in the world of men. The effect is you can't do court reaction. If you're ever forced to court, you immediately gain scorned status. You cannot score any more destiny points. I assume he gets the one, or she gets the one listed. You cannot gain the appearance skill. While it's with you, it's useless. And you lose a merchant arrow when you gain this status. To lose it, I need a Q:S and an encounter with a reaction, with a being on reaction matrix A and B, who are wizards and ifrits and stuff, and then I lose it. If I give a wealth level to a player in my space who has major magic, I can also lose it. But my cards and dice phase is next, so we have to see if I actually even keep this. There's no real advantage to it. I do not. I rolled higher than the status requirement. So it was pretty much a wasted set of paragraphs there. Conceivably, maybe it would have lasted a turn or so, but that's it. All right, over to, who's this, Alibaba? Alibaba kind of wants to go to Lyon, but I've got a long way to get there. So I'm going to go seek my prince. Now, I have to see if I get an encounter before I can get the prince. And I do not. I get another Spanish city that I can go visit. That means I have to stay here in order to try to extend the quest. I'm not going to be able to complete it. Quests usually take a few levels until you start getting good at stuff. And this one is also on a quest to see a soldier down here. I'm the guy with seamanship, so 1, 2, and then no more than 3 on land, counting up to a total of no more than 4. I've reached my destination as well. However, I do have an encounter. 97, I'm facing a ne'er-do-well. That'll be on table D over here. And you can see there's a fiddly aspect to it, but it all becomes pretty easy to cope with. Now, I'm outside of Europe, so I have the +2 to my die roll, no other modifiers, obviously. I'm not, and there's nothing in the space. And +2 gets me 7. It's a disguised ne'er-do-well. Okay, so I look for disguised under D, and I can aid it, rob it. What am I? Avoid. Don't want to do that. Question, attack, or hire. I'm on a quest. Let's hire the no. It's a ne'er-do-well. I should attack it. Okay, so that's a base of 531. That sounds like a risky thing to do, but I want to have an encounter, so I get a 5 or a 6. That puts me up to 532. You see one you hate for his past injustices to your family. Do I have acting in disguise? I do not. So I leap forward to bring death to him. Only then do I realize he's not who I thought. He's an innocent beggar. I'm racked with remorse and pledge a pilgrimage to cleanse myself. I get Destiny 1, and now I have the on pilgrimage status. And this is a full-on status. And remember, you can't win while you have this. With 134. It's not necessarily a terrible thing to have happen. Nothing too terrible happens. I'm vowed to make a holy quest in order to gain knowledge and insight into the ways of Allah. I place my destination shit on any city not within 3 spaces of Makkah. I must enter and have an encounter in that city. Then I must go to Makkah and have an encounter. At that point, my pilgrimage is complete and I lose my status. If I complete a pilgrimage, I get 2 bonus destiny and a story point. I also get piety. Or I can give up on pilgrimage by spending 3 destiny. Well, I don't have 3 destiny to spend, so I can't do that. I don't know what my next step in the adventure is at this point, so I'm going to put this as my next destination. But now I get to encounter my quest object, 1319. Now, we've already looked at this and know that I have basically no chance of succeeding in the quest at this point, but I have weapon use. That gives me a +1 to the die roll. And if I roll a die and I get a 6 or higher, I'll succeed in this quest. Or I can extend it. Alright, I'm going to roll the die. Now, if we were playing, without multiple statuses, this wouldn't be too dangerous at all, because I'd just be, exchanging one status for another or whatever. I roll a 6, which means I get a 7. I'm proved a coward. I get Destiny -2. It can't go below 0. I've succeeded in one of my 2 quests needed. And at the beginning of my next turn, I have to draw a new quest. But that's pretty awesome. I'm already halfway through the game, basically. And that's why I say the quest can actually be a really, really easy way to win the game. In some ways, I think it's unbalanced in that direction, but if you're playing with a decent number of people, it's not a terrible choice. And it could have gone terribly. I've seen people, get sucked into quests where they're just never succeeding and never getting anywhere. Now, I think actually I usually don't mark down how many quests you've won as this, but use like the card upside down or something as some kind of indicator. I don't know what the rules say. It doesn't really make much difference. It's not like, this is some sort of tailored competitive game where controlling what's in the deck is at all important. Alright, so let's look at Scheherazade. She wants to move into a space with someone else so she can use skills. Well, what are her skills that she could use? Seduction, which could give something bad, or take a wealth level, which would be useful. Courtly graces or appearance. Appearance is just bad at other people. You can't use courtly graces. So I think I'm going to head out and use that, but I can only use seduction on someone of the opposite sex. And unfortunately for me, the only person near me is one of the females. So we'll head out. Isn't a movement here. Hard to get to see from over here. There are no encounters in Baghdad, so we'll go down to Damascus. And of course she sees that someone with a hidden card is coming towards her. And it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. I'm in a city. That's going to be number 6. The city's in the blank area, nothing special, or in the light area, so I just roll. And it's a doomsaying prophet A. Okay, so I look up doomsaying and I can grovel, avoid, attack, or honor. I think Scheherazade would honor. That's 321. It's close to groveling. And we go down to 320, which is even further from groveling. The other examines you, clucking worriedly. I'm sorry, he says, but what has happened has happened. So if she has luck or determined, now determined is a status, those sometimes make their way in here. She could use those. Otherwise, she admits she's beyond his help and gets a point of destiny. So, I mean, you're gaining something, just not making a lot of ground towards winning the game, right? Okay. Our next one is our Tripoli adventure. And she'll make it to Tripoli, where she meets an 84 wizard. Okay. I'm out of the clear zone, so it's +2. Big 8, it's a mad wizard. So I look under Mad B. Grovel, aid, rob. Robbing sounds good for her. Avoid, attack, court. Trick might be even better. They're close to each other. I'm gonna try to trick him. 367. You know, with things like acting in disguise and quick thinking, that sounds kind of good. And we end up at 367. There's no guarantee. Sometimes those are baked in as bad events. You trick the one into showing his treasure room by pretending to be a tax collector for the Sultan. As you move among his possessions, you see many valuable ones. Now, if she had major magic, she could use that, but she does not. So you take one. Instantly, the room grows dark, and your skin feels as if it were being flayed and rubbed with salt. Your sight is gone. There is no end to your pain. D2, insane or crippled. Which one does she get? I guess it's her choice. So we'll look at those. Insane is 130, crippled is 121. And no, I'm not going to look up and try to see if they're actually handled in the rules, which one to get. So this would be another person picks your actions in each adventure. This can be really dicky. Crippled, on the other hand, reduces your move. That's 121. And you cannot gain seduction or appearance. She doesn't have either of those. I think she'll go with crippled. Seems like the better status to have. And it's a permanent effect of the status. So her effect is movements reduced by 1, cannot have seduction or appearance. In any encounter with a being from reaction matrix A through D, G, J, or H, though, you double all story point awards, which is really very awesome. I remembered this being not a bad one at all. And given, it would have been better for Scheherazade, who wants more story points, but... and you can lose this if you get a Q:(S) from anyone from matrix B. If you get a wealth level, if you give a wealth level to a player in your space who has major magic, you can also lose it. Okay. This guy's at his destination, but he has to have an event to be able to look for his special thing, so he'll look here. He's in a city that's table 51. We're at +2 because of where we are. Which is a 4. It's going to be an enchanted soldier, J. Now, soldier was what this guy was looking for, and he could have solved that. What am I like? I'm a thief, but I have combat and magic. I could attack, aid, rob. I don't want to avoid. Court or abduct. Well, as a male, I probably don't want to court. That doesn't work very well. I'm going to try to aid him at 295. Again, no master level skills. So we go out here. You hear the tragic tale of how the other was given a beast's form by a perfidious brothers and sisters who were jealous of their success. Minor magic or scholarship? I have minor magic. Now, it's not revealed whether or not this is mandatory by the reader, but generally you want to use your skills. So, yeah, no, if it was mandatory, you'd have to use it. So, he will choose to use it. It's usually to your advantage. Sometimes you have choices between different spells to use. The tale gives you clues to the spells necessary to enter a land hitherto thought to exist only in legend, the dusky land of the Afrits. The tale also holds the key to lifting the other's curse. D2, S1, Q:S. If I had been looking for the soldier instead of this prince, I would have succeeded in an opportunity to enter the dusky land. Now we have to look this up. So I don't know if I show up there immediately or if I can have, when I play it mechanically, it's show up immediately. But I don't want to give up my quest to do this. So I'm going to need to find opportunities to enter. If you get an opportunity to enter, you put your destination in that place of power. You may not now enter that place. If and when you do, you remove the marker. Okay, so I can go there whenever I like, I guess. I'm not sure how I get there, if I have to actually travel there or not. This is a weird situation. That's not what I remember it being, so I'm going to have to take a little step away and look to see how that works. But first, before I bother with any of that, I'm going to resolve my quest, which is with the Prince 1316. I've always played this differently, where you just kind of teleport to it. But it looks like that's not what's intended. No surprise, I get things wrong. I don't like to read rules, if you recall. +1 to the die roll for each additional quest in the current quest. That's none. Courtly Graces, I don't have that. So, only on a 6 would I succeed, and I'd lose my stealth and stealing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my quest. And I extend my quest by pulling another. And by the way, the quester runs through the deck very quickly. So now I'm going to have to look for the Enchantress, which is 1309. I'll get a +1 for the current card. My Minor Magic gives me a +1. And I find it in Shiraz or an island with a black number. Well, there are those down near the Dusky Land, so that's kind of cool. So I kind of want to handle this question before I go any further. Let me explain my thinking on the places of power, or whatever. Yeah. Some of them, my recollection is, are kind of situations where you sort of stumble into them automatically. But given that this isn't, and I haven't seen one such as that, I'm just going to say you have to make it here and wander there. He's got it on the map. He's got to make it there. So that's going to allow him to go there in the future. Now, he may win the game before he goes there. So, well, no, he doesn't have one yet. All right, so we go on to our final character in this round. He's up here. Is there a status he'd like to steal from anyone? Well, crippled is neat, but not terribly for somebody who's in this condition. So I am going to go on my pilgrimage. I have to have something here, an encounter, I believe, to solve that pilgrimage. It looks like I'm going to have one. It's a city. That puts me on 46. I'm at +2 for being outside the real world. And I meet a lost dervish, J. I could aid him. He's lost after all. That sounds like a more pious thing to do than robbing him. I could barter with him. I could honor him, court. I'm male, I probably shouldn't. Abduct or hire. I think I'm most interested in aiding the Lost Dervish. So that's 286. I'm such a nice person. 285. The other is elderly and somewhat confused. You offer to aid the other to find their way home. If I have wilderness lore or scholarship, which I do not, then I would get something else. But instead, I also become lost. So I get a destiny point and the status lost. Lost is not a terribly good status. 131. It's going to be hard to remember all these different statuses on multiple characters. It's hard enough when you're playing on your own. You're lost somewhere in the vast reaches of the world, but exactly where you cannot tell. You cannot move. Each turn you follow the normal encounter procedure, or you may have an encounter with badly lost G. If you're under badly lost, you might lose the lost status. If you give a wealth level to the player in your space with wilderness lore, you can lose the status. This applies even as in a city space, you're assumed to be lost in the wildlands around the city. But you can still encounter the city. Whatever. Oh, this guy was supposed to draw for another quest, too. So he's got a Vizier, 1314. We'll see. If it's in his space, I guess I kind of screwed up. Courtly Graces gives a bonus, and it's in Hamadan or Cordoba. Strangely enough, I'm actually in one of the locations that I want to be to find him, so I'll probably encounter him again if I can. But I do have to put my other destination down in Baghdad, because that'll be my to try to get rid of my pilgrimage. What was it I'm looking for? A Vizier. So Courtly Graces is what I need, and I don't have that, which means I would have to have a 6 to win the game. Well, to be in a position to win the game. It might be worth taking a chance on. On the other hand, bad things can happen to you if you roll. So for example, I might end up just losing wisdom. Well, that's no big deal. I don't have that. But on the other hand, I might end up imprisoned. And that probably would not be good, because I need the ability to move around, which is something other characters don't need as much. Anyway, that gives us time for another pause. I really don't like to do too much of this at once, because it tells on my voice. Okay, let's keep moving along. Scheherazade again. Wants to get to other players, but not terribly badly. Well, 1, 2, 3 movement points, no more than 1 by sea, would put me out in the water. That doesn't sound like the best place for Scheherazade to be. Let's head out to the east and go into this forest. Oh, I get a card that I want to go someplace with. Gaia. I don't know where Gaia is. I think it's down here, over here. So that's an interesting possibility. It's in the direction I'm going, but I don't get an action, an encounter. I must not have gotten an encounter last time. I'm not sure. So I'll stick around in Tripoli. I think I did actually and forgot. Get a 114. It's not that big a deal. You know, these are very, very minor goals to follow. And sometimes not really worth doing, except that, like, something neat might happen. At +2, we get an 8, which is a disguised enchantress. Now, we're crippled. That means double story points. A disguised enchantress. Enchantress is B. Grovel, aid, rob, avoid, attack, court. I'm going to trick her. That's 408. That's the base. We go down to 407. Your attempt to trick the other into investing in false merchant shipments seemed likely to bring you much of her money. A few days later, however, it seems that the false merchant you invented really does exist, and the other makes a great profit. I have quick thinking, and I want to use it. You realize that the other has tried to turn the tables on you. You invent a terrible disaster to the false merchant, which wipes out the other's wealth. The resulting confusion is so exquisite that even your victim salutes your artistry. D2, S2, remember those are doubled. Wow, I'm getting close to my victory. Acting in disguise and Q:S. I already have acting in disguise, and I'm not at master skills, so I don't get anything there. A Q:S versus a B. Does that solve my crippled? And do I want my crippled solved? That's a good question. Because moving slowly isn't necessarily bad, but from the character's point of view, they'd like to be healed, right? I kind of like the idea that you can't avoid getting healed in these cases. Yeah, it actually says if you get it, you lose the status. So I am no longer crippled, which may have actually been a disadvantage. And now I'm going to roll on the Tripoli card. If I get a 1, it sucks because I lose one of my skills. I get a 4. Gain 2D and 1 story point if stealth and stealing. I have stealth and stealing, so I get 2 more destiny. Now I've got master skill and a story point. And from the story point, I gain storytelling. There's no limit to the number of skills you can have except the number that are available. So that actually worked out pretty well as a turn for me, except that I'm no longer crippled. But in terms of my points, I'm getting very close. I'm 2 away in destiny, make it 3 away, and halfway to my story point total. So that's pretty impressive. Okay. This guy, he wants to go to the Enchantress. Now, I did not look up where that is. And I got cards for stuff over there that I really don't see a use for. The Enchantress is in 1309. I remember looking this up. I'm not sure. Oh, this is Shiraz or an island. Now, I don't know where Shiraz is. Sounds like wine to me. It's in the northeast. Here. I think I'm gonna... My movement, I don't have boats or anything, which means I couldn't get to an island. I'm gonna go to Shiraz. If I have my encounter there, I can meet the Enchantress. I do not have an encounter, I get Rome. So here, this is what becomes kind of interesting, is which of these cards is kind of the crappiest. So this one, I'd rather not lose a T skill. This is kind of nice, but story points aren't really that useful to me. I think I'm going to throw Cordoba out. I didn't have an encounter, so I can't keep looking there, but I'm going to put my destination there because, well, I'm going to put it on my card because I am actually where I want to go. Okay, that puts us to the final character, who is the purple one, who currently has some problems. He's lost and on pilgrimage, but I also was where the Vizier is. So I think I'm going to try to have, I can have the badly lost encounter, and since that's automatically going to give me an encounter, I don't have to draw a card for it, then I get to encounter the Vizier. So that sounds good. Badly lost, I believe, was on G. And what am I good at? Seamanship, weapon use, and piety. Do I want to pray? That sounds good. I know for a fact that that's dangerous, though, but let's go with it. 608 puts me to 609. An angel speaks to you in a dream, showing you a perilous path that will lead you out of your predicament if you have the courage to take it. Roll 2 dice and add 1 for enduring hardship, wilderness lore, and luck. Uh-oh, I don't have any of those. I roll a 5, which is lousy. I go to paragraph 96. I bet you I'm badly lost still, but is it worse? You have neither the will nor the ability to complete such a set of tasks as would be required. I have piety, though. However, Allah allows you your effort to succeed despite the limits of your ability and endurance. You praise His generosity and promise to spend more time on your devotions. D2, S1, luck, lose, lost. Well, that worked pretty well. I get the luck ability, or skill. I lose, lost. And the cool thing is, I also get to encounter my Vizier at 1314 because I'm in the right location for him. I could have probably done it last time, but I forgot to look it up. Okay, I do not have courtly graces, so basically I have a 1 in 6 chance of being ready to win the game. I don't have wisdom. Imprisoned would suck. And that's a 2 out of 6 chance. But I think I'm going to take my shot because my chance of winning the game, as it were, is fairly high here. So we'll try that. We get a 4, which sucks. Now I'm imprisoned. That extends the quest, so I draw for another quest card. And I'll be getting a thief, which is 1306. That's the first thing I want to deal with. That's found in Baghdad or a mountain with a black number. Well, that's a pretty close mountain with a black number. And Baghdad, though, is where I'm going for my other destination. So I'm going to put both my destinations in Baghdad. That'll fulfill my pilgrimage as well. The thief, what was it? I want stealth and stealing to get a bonus on that. I don't have that. But now let's deal with my imprisoned status, which is 129. And you can see why some people might prefer the basic game. Because, you know, I've got these 2 statuses in play. It gets kind of annoying, but I found the realism or believability of keeping your statuses much better. So you're being held against your will. You may not move. You do not have normal encounters. Instead, you can encounter a hunchback. Reaction matrix C. And we have different numbers based on this. 86, 91, or 101 for which hunchback you look for. I'm going to have to look this up each turn, I bet. If you get a Q:S from your encounter, you lose the status. If your story points get to 10 or more, you lose the status. And if you give a wealth level to a player who has beguiling or stealth and stealing, you lose the status. Well, none of those seem likely, although maybe this girl is coming out to help me without knowing it. Right? She has stealth and stealing. And she could actually do it, just move there, knowing that it's of value, with the hope that, hey, I'll gain a point of wealth if that happens. So that's kind of an intriguing, there is some player effect here. The problem is, Purple's already got one of his 2 quests completed, so he seems dangerously close to winning the game. Whereas she doesn't terribly need wealth for anything, and isn't going to gain anything she needs out of it, so she probably is not going to go help him. But if he wasn't doing very well, it might well be worth doing. And sometimes you see that going on.